Before we start the show today, I wanted to tell you that William Irvin, the author of The Guide to the Good Life, has written a new book called You, A Natural History. It's a book about how you, a human being, are related to every other organism on the planet and works in a lot of biology and philosophy together. I have a selfish reason for promoting the book. When William Irvin was on the podcast, more than a year ago now, I talked about being a biologist, and he had me read a few chapters of his book, and I made some comments. And so he acknowledged me by name in the book in the acknowledgement section, along with Massimo Pigliucci. It's probably the only time my name will ever appear in print next to Massimo's, so I just thought that was pretty cool. So check it out. You can find it on Amazon.com. I'll put a link in the show notes.
Wisdom,
Prudentia,
justice,
Justitia,
temperance,
Temperantia,
courage.
Fortitudo.
Applying ancient philosophy to modern life, this is the Sunday Stoic.
Welcome to the Sunday Stoic Podcast. I'm your host, Steve Carefit. I'm coming to you from my porch in Conway, Arkansas, so you may get some background noise. Why from my porch? Well, I think it's a very stoic thing to do when I can. I'm sitting out here. It's cold. I'm in a sweater. It's dark out because it's autumn. Actually, the time changes this weekend, so it's going to be really dark at this time in a few days. And inside I have a 2-year-old who is running around with his new toy robot. Well, it's just a $4 Megatron action figure, and he thinks it's the coolest thing in the world, and he won't stop talking about it, so I can't record in the house. So here we are. A lot of you like episodes on the porch. I've gotten feedback, but there won't be too many birds singing at this time of year, I'm afraid. Do you have any bad habits? Do you have good habits? Can you think of a habit that you've cultivated deliberately? I myself look at my phone too much. I sit in my chair as soon as I get home from work, and I stay there too long. And I often leave a mess wherever I move. If I cook dinner, I leave a mess, and I don't clean it up as fast as I probably should. If I work in the wood shop, things get messy. Entropy increases every time I do anything. And these are things I'd like to work on myself. I'd like to develop new habits, because one thing's for sure, willpower only goes so far. You can will yourself to clean up after you do something. You can will yourself to get up out of that chair. But if you're tired, that willpower is fleeting and gives way pretty quickly back to the old habit. On the good side, I have gotten better at doing more of my share of housekeeping. I'm not where I'd like to be, but I realized I wasn't doing enough. So I cook dinner a lot of the time, not all the time, but a lot of the time. I've been losing my temper less than I used to, and recovering faster than I used to. I do the dishes more often, and I'll even talk a little bit about that in a little bit. But these habits have taken cultivation and nurturing to accomplish. They're like tender shoots growing from the ground, and if they're not tended to, the frost nips them at the ground very easily. So you have to watch them and care for them. They didn't just happen because I had good intentions. I'm not getting better, being a better husband because I had good intentions. It's because I tried and I failed. And rather than saying I'm useless and I'll never be good at this, I tried again and failed, and maybe, let my wife down and said, okay, I'm not doing that again. And I kept pushing forward, and eventually the habit starts to stick. The Discourses of Epictetus, Book 2, Chapter 18. Every habit and capacity is supported and strengthened by the corresponding actions. That of walking, by walking. That of running, by running. If you want to be a good reader, read. Or a good writer, write. But if you pass 30 days without reading and turn to something else, you'll notice the consequences. So also, if you lie in bed for 10 days and then get up and try to walk a fair distance, you'll see how weak your legs are. In general, then, if you want to do something, make a habit of doing it. And if you don't want to do something, don't do it, but get into the habit of doing something else instead. So Epictetus actually mentions what might happen if you kind of give up on a habit for 30 days. Habits are often thought to stick or you could lose a habit in about 30 days, although I think there's some argument about that. But Epictetus reminds us that we can replace our bad habits with good ones, and we have to be deliberate at cultivating those new habits. What are habits? According to The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg, habits allow us to survive all of the complex decisions that we have to make every day. It's a form of autopilot. Basic routines can become ingrained within our brains so that we can spend our limited willpower on more important tasks. But when we try to start a new habit, we need to use some of that willpower to turn that new task into a routine. When I work on a new habit, I keep in mind that future Steve needs current Steve's help, because future Steve's going to find a way to get out of that habit. I'm trying to make it easy on myself. So what does that mean? Well, you leave yourself notes of reminder of what your habits are. You set reminders on your phone. One thing that I found incredibly useful for one of my habits, which was, a bad habit of not getting up when my alarm went off, is I found an app called Alarmy. Alarmy was, I think it's a free app. You can buy a paid version, but it's an alarm that you put on your phone, and you take a picture of an object in your house, preferably far from your bedroom. I took a picture of a light switch in the kitchen. And in the morning, the alarm goes off, and it will not shut off until you get up and take a picture of that object in a different room. And after a couple weeks of that, I didn't need the alarm anymore, right? The habit became ingrained. I either woke up on time, or when my normal alarm went off, I just would get up and be up, and I wouldn't go back to sleep. Now I have a 2-year-old, and this is not a problem. I'm always up. So in The Power of Habit, Charles Duhigg explains that habits work via a pattern of cue, routine, and reward. For example, when I come home from work, I'm tired and a bit grumpy. That is a cue. Maybe your cue is you're hungry, or maybe your cue is when you see certain friends. That's a cue. And that cue might trigger a routine. So when I come home and I'm a bit grumpy, I might have a glass of wine or a can of beer. That's my routine. And the reward, of course, after a can of beer, is my change in attitude. So the best way, according to The Power of Habit, to change a habit would be to keep the cue and the reward the same, but to change the routine. So I will likely be a little bit tired all the time after work. But I could try going for a little walk or try meditating instead of having a beer to try to get that similar reward, that relaxation that I'm craving. Another example that I'm trying right now, I got from an article that I just read. I'll put a post to it in the show notes. Every time I use the washroom, so this is your cue, you go pee, right? Something you do every day, and it's important that you try to build habits that are daily. And so every time you go to the bathroom, you automatically do 3 push-ups. So that gives you a cue that you're going to have all the time, every day. And then trying to develop a routine of push-ups, and the reward is improved fitness, right? I don't have a lot of time to get to the gym right now. And so if I do, 3 push-ups or 5 push-ups every time I use the washroom, that's better than doing nothing at all. The Power of Habit also suggests that we don't try to change too many habits at once. In fact, we should focus on a single keystone habit at a time. So rather than saying, okay, I'm going to eat better, I'm going to stop drinking, I'm going to have a better morning routine, and I'm going to garden and watch less TV. That's a lot of stuff, right? If you try to change all those habits at once, you will fail. But it says to pick a keystone habit. A keystone is that stone in the center of an arch that braces the whole thing together. So a keystone habit is a habit that, if changed, will have rippling repercussions throughout your life. What I like to call collateral improvements. And I've decided that something that would cause collateral improvement to my life would be having a better morning routine that will accomplish several goals. One, it will give me a little more time to think in the morning, a less rushed, panicked pace. It will also help me to be more just, a better husband, a more just family member. So what is my plan? My plan is to get up at 6, at least by 6. My son sometimes wakes up at 5:30, and sometimes we're up then. But let's say I rise at 6 o'clock. I have a card of Stoic quotes next to my bed. I'm going to read one and think about it. Drink a full glass of water. Probably do 3 push-ups, make the bed, take a shower, and then go empty the dishwasher and have breakfast with the family. That may not sound revolutionary to you, but it's better than chaotic madness, which is a lot of my mornings. And so if I make the bed every day, why would that be useful? Well, that is part of this overall keystone habit of having a better morning routine. If I make the bed, it gets me into a mindset of organization. Then I'm more likely to keep other items tidy in my life. And then I empty the dishwasher, which is something I like to do, but I'm really bad at doing it if I don't have a pattern. If it's just, well, you empty the dishwasher whenever it's done, and if our dishes are done at different times of the day, I will probably not do a good job at that. But if I know every morning I empty the dishwasher, I can do that. I can stick to that pattern. And that is my plan for improving my morning routine, which I hope then will be a keystone habit to cause collateral improvement to the rest of my day. And then once that's solidified, I can pick another keystone habit. Maybe my after-work routine, or maybe I can go to the gym. And there's lists of keystone habits online that people recommend, like eating dinner with your family, going to the gym, improving your morning routine, things like that. You can check them out on your own. Just Google it, you'll find it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm trying to create Stoic habits over time as well. I found that me and journaling are still not good bedfellows. I don't feel my journals are very deep or doing me a lot of good right now. I got to figure out a better way to do that. But I'm determined not to try to change a whole lot of things at once. I'm going to work on this morning habit and do push-ups every time I use the washroom. And if I can stick to that for a month or two and it becomes ingrained, then we'll move on to something else. So I encourage you to think about what one thing could you improve on in your life that would have repercussions throughout your life. Pick that one thing. Figure out the cue. What would be a cue? For me, the alarm goes off. That's my cue to start the morning, to start this routine. Or you use the restroom. That's your cue to do push-ups. What's your cue? What is the routine? And are you replacing a old routine, or are you building a brand new routine from scratch? Likely you're replacing an old routine, so you have to work at it like Epictetus suggests. And what is your reward? What do you get from it? A sense of satisfaction? A sense of knowing that you've worked on something that's in your power? Or maybe the reward is when you've done this for a month, you get to go to the movies, or you get a reward of some kind, some kind of sweets, or whatever floats your boat. Think about it and work on it and seize the day. Carpe diem.
Thank you for listening to The Sunday Stoic. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe, rate, and review The Sunday Stoic on iTunes. Become a member of the Sunday Stoic team, earn rewards, and be an integral part of the show by becoming a patron at www.patreon.com/SundayStoic. Contact the show by emailing sundaystoic@gmail.com or by leaving a voicemail at 501-503-3132. To find out more, visit www.sundaystoicpodcast.com. And as Steve always says, Carpe Diem.